With each new release, Alice Mayo McKay dives into a new horror subgenre to highlight increasingly pressing issues facing the queer community. Her first film, So Vam, had vampires to emphasize the monstrous otherness queer people are made to feel and potentially reclaim. Bad Girls Boogie used the supernatural slasher subgenre to highlight how homophobia and transphobia are learned and passed down through generations. And now T Blockers delves into science fiction horror with its Underground Parasites. The film is a great example of how to incorporate socio-political issues into horror, resulting in a film that is as thought-provoking as it is entertaining. I have the privilege of talking to Alice about her newest film, T Blockers, which had its world premiere at Salem Horror Fest in 2023. Alice, hi. Thank you so much for doing this Q&A.
Of course, thank you so much.
Yeah. So first of all, could you tell us something about yourself? How did you get involved in filmmaking? I mean, you're only 19 and already worked on 3 films. That is quite impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was always interested in like writing short stories and stuff, and then I just kind of developed a passion for film, and then yeah, I've been doing these like no budget films and producing them pretty much myself, occasionally with people. And yeah, my first film, So Bam, I made when I was 16, and it's a Shudder exclusive. And then yeah, here we are. I made T Blockers last year in July when I was 17, and yeah.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. As I've already mentioned in the introduction, you use the element of horror in all your films to bring out and emphasize the subject matter. What is it about horror that speaks to you?
I think I just grew up on horror and like shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which kind of like, interweave horror, coming of age, like the female identity and like, I don't know, just like a bunch of things, but it's also campy and like stylish and fun and like gory sometimes. And I like being able to tell like stories like that mean a lot to me. And I think, something personal, but also have that horror element as well. I think combining those things is just, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I agree. Horror and queerness have gone hand in hand since its origins, from the notion of otherness and queer monsters in Nosferatu from 1922 to the era of lesbian vampires in Dracula's Daughter from 1936, I think, to more contemporary and intersectional representation of empowered transgender girls in Assassination Nation from 2019. In your opinion, why is horror so queer?
Um, I don't know. I think like going back, as you mentioned, like a lot of like creators of horror works were like queer, so their work was like inherently queer, and like there's that whole theory that Bram Stoker, was closeted in some sense. So like that's like one of the most historic, works of horror. So that being like, a metaphor for his queerness and like his male crush and like repression and stuff like that. I just think it's yeah, been around from the beginning and yeah, queer people just love horror as well, I guess.
Um, your use of lightning in T blockers is very stylistic. How does lightning impact the stories you tell?
Um, I just from a visual sense, I like to create like an immersive world that is like more than than like everyday and it's like not mundane and like you mentioned Assassination Nation, like I love aesthetically that film and I just want to create something like that visually pops on screen. Yeah.
Okay, the parasite is an incredibly effective metaphor for how transphobia continues to spread. For me, the worm-like creatures looked like something straight out of an 80s horror film, and I think they kind of add a charming nostalgia. Um, I was wondering if the aesthetic choice was due to the small budget or if you actively chose it.
I mean, yeah, it was working with what we had, and also, I mean, the film is kind of meta in the sense that like there was already like a film within the film shot on VHS, and yeah, there was always going to be like campy, and yeah, that was pretty much from the get-go.
Your film T Blockers also features Bookends hosted by Cryptessa, played by Drag Race Down Under superstar, etc., etc., who you've already worked with in your previous film. She reappears at various points to offer chorus-like commentary, and sometimes she stands outside the main narrative, and sometimes within it, introducing other interpolated films. The lines between all these constructed realities are constantly blurred, and I was wondering if and to what extent Cryptessa reflects the thoughts and feelings of the main protagonist, Sophie, regarding her own changing identity.
Oh, for sure. I actually haven't thought of it like that, but I really like the way you put that. I don't know. I've always liked the chorus. Like I don't know. I was like very inspired because I like to read a lot of plays and stuff, and I had like a very like theatrical background growing up, and I still love theater a lot. So yeah, I wanted to incorporate like the midnight like Elvira type host, kind of like to progress the plot, like when the characters watch the film within a film and like she's there, but also yeah, just to be like that constant narrative outside voice from like the coming of age characters. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and last question. I've read that you're already working on the next project. Is there anything you can tell us about your fourth film, Citronic Panic?
Yeah, so we have the world premiere at South by in Sydney next Thursday, and then it is screening in LA with Outfest and the Cinematheque in a few weeks as well, and then New York November, and then London also November, December, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a drag race. It's kind of like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert meets like Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, and there's like some musical numbers. Yeah, it's like really campy. Yeah.
Nice. I'm really looking forward to see it. I didn't know that you already finished it. So congrats on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
and yeah, then I would like to thank you once again on behalf of our film festival. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this Q&A, and it was really nice talking to you. And yeah, I wish you all the best for your future, and I'm very excited about your new projects.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.